I want to thank the whole Sornex family for having me. This is not a business, it's a family. This is an event. The energy here is the best I have ever seen at any clinic. So I tell Bert every year I'm going to try to re-up my talk. I don't know if I'll be able to do any better, so I'm out after this one, okay? I'm teasing. I'll give it a shot. We'll see. Maybe you'll have me back. Maybe you're going to restructure things. I don't know. My wife said she's going to remodel the house, and I was worried that she was going to move me out. That was my first thought. So, she did the kitchen, thank God. So, anyway, today we're going to talk about training and some of the most advanced things that I felt that we've stumbled upon in the last year and a half or two. But what you're going to see is a series of processes. And people ask me how I make this shit up or create it. And I'm going to give you a formula to how Cal Dietz creates stuff. You might think I'm crazy, but there's a 3-step process. I question everything that I do. I know people don't like to get questioned, but I question every method and every concept that I bring, that I see, that I hear out there, which then creates problems that I didn't know I had if I start questioning everything. Where's the flaws? Where's the weaknesses? And then when I can create a problem, then what I do is I make solutions. And I'll give you 3 examples today that I went through. Trust me, I question everything. What keeps me up at night? I'm going to question. I'll give you an example. Just a couple weeks ago, I had 3 girls that had been that became Olympic champions. I started with them right after high school. And they said, hey, we got camp in August. We think we should do this. And it was my periodization model, but it's flawed. It's not optimal. Every periodization model works, even mine, but it's not optimal. I'm going to give you what I think is optimal today, okay? So, and that's what keeps me up at night, that I dealt with these girls for 7 years, and I still didn't train them to the best I could have. We're going to, but I'm going to get there. So I create problems, and then I find solutions, okay? First one. The question was, my athletes, I'm walking across a basketball court, and I go, I got a 260-pound basketball player who jumps on his toes, and I teach him to jump in the weight room, and it doesn't look like he jumps on the court. I go, nothing they do in sports is mimicking how I teach them in the weight room. So the movements weren't even the same. So then I go, I'm not training them correctly. So then we started jumping on our toes. I jump and I squat on my toes, not on my heels. Okay? And I'll give you examples of that. Why? Because guess what? We run on our toes. The only animal in the world that runs on their heels is an elephant. So if you want your athletes to run on like an elephant, then have them run on their heels. Okay? I'm just hoping you're playing my athletes. All right? So, and I know it's not the norm. I know we're not taught that. But people, so in 208, I started jumping on my toes. So when we do a plyometric, we land on our toes. The heels might hit a little bit, but you have to keep the force in the foot so that it can spring you up. I don't jump with their butt back and their heels back. We land. When they change direction, they're on their toes. Their heels may hit, but the force has to be on their toes, okay? I do lunge. I mean, there's belt squats here. There's different types of belt squats. We do it all with a forward knee position on our toes. Why? You'll find out today that the foot, what's the only thing that touches the ground when you run? It's your foot. I found more problems with your body because your foot has dysfunction. So I do a safety bar single leg squat, and he doesn't have a bar and he's not holding. But this is what the athlete's doing on the left, and I have a huge video on what this does for you, the safety bar single leg squat. But that's the position. This is I stole the video off of some organization, or a picture. That's a typical back squat. What position's more athletic? One on the left. I've never seen my athletes in this position. I've been looking 20 years. I've been looking for 20 years. I've never seen them in that position. I see them in this position, and you'll see with the toe off the ground. So when I squat, the heel. My heel is off the ground when my athletes squat. I have coaches fly in to see that because I put it on the internet, but they don't believe it. Okay? With the toe off the ground, or the heel off the ground, that's actually exaggerated. My heel is just barely off the ground because I have to make their foot strong. And I'll cover why. This is optimal. If I went up and took that guy, he's probably a strong guy, I could just push him in the head a little bit, and what's he going to do? He's going to fall over. So I squat. This is the athletic position I want. I have girls, females, that are badass women that do a single leg squat with 365 on their back. Okay, with a safety bar. I think I'll get to it. If you don't think you should, well, let me go back. Notice the knees in front of the toes. This is how we play sports. Barry Sanders on the left, toe in front of the knee. Okay? Guess what? If that foot's not strong, where's my, oh, there it is. If that foot's not strong, if that arch collapses on the inside of his foot, his knee can't hold that position. So if your foot's weak, the knee comes up and the hip goes up. So people say, oh, my linemen can't get low, they got bad hips. No. The foot's weak, the body will raise your center of gravity because you can't get in those positions. Your body won't let you get in those positions. So this is why the foot is so important, okay? This world-class sprinter on the right, if his foot if they can't support all the force of a world-class sprinter slamming down on the ground, the foot, he won't run at that angle, and he won't be as fast. I had a chance in one Olympic trials, 2008 in LA. If you stand at the 100 meters, and when the gun goes off, I was about 20 yards away, you could feel the ground shake. All the forces of those hips and knees are going into the ground through the feet. Their foot shook the ground. They don't have any weak feet, okay? The rest of us do. So for example, did I get the right slide? Yep. So here's an example. This is Sean, my world-class hammer thrower. He's got 800 pounds doing single-leg safety bar squats. In warm-ups, he just missed. In warm-ups yesterday, he hit 79 meters in the hammer. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, yeah. I think he's ranked 3. He's got the top 3 throw in the world. It's early, though. But he's hitting a whole nother level. And his knees are going in front of his toes. This is on his heels, people. 800 pounds. Okay? It's making his feet really strong. And this is the single best lift I've ever seen. I got a 20-minute video on YouTube about the safety bar single leg split squat. I just recommend you watch it because I've never seen greater adaptations. I've never seen greater metabolic adaptations through the vascular system. It's crazy. And I share all that. And what we do is we do potentiation clusters with 800 pounds. Here's the deal. I got girls that really don't want to squat more than 200 on their back, but they have 315 pounds on this, and they eat it up. So I'm kind of hacking because the bar bothers their back. This is very comfortable. That was after a bad day, so I'm sure. So my main point with this foot stuff, I need you to think how I think and what I know. So when that foot slams down on the ground, and if your arch collapses because you have a weak arch, that's instability when it strikes the ground. Your brain knows this is going to happen. What's it do? It downregulates your muscles so that you don't destroy your foot. So your rate limiter is the fact that you can't stabilize when the foot slams down. If you weigh 200 pounds, Dan, what do you weigh? About 200? Where are you at? About 200? Okay, he's north of 200. All right, just north. All right, Danny's just north of 200. We'll say he weighs 300. If you're explosive, you can produce 5 times body weight on impact, so it's 1,500 pounds. So if your foot can absorb 1,500 pounds, Dan's brain will downregulate his muscles so that he doesn't destroy himself. Okay? The next thing is, so it's like, so there's instability. That's why I would question, like, There's people out there saying, oh, I do power work on a Bosu ball. There's no stability. Your brain won't let you get max power. I've tested it. It's not possible. I like Bosu ball training. There's times for it. But you can't train power on it because there's no stability. Does that make sense? I love Bosu balls. It's really good for a lot of things, but not for true power training. Now, if the arch also collapses, this is a doozy, arch collapses at impact, the body tries to find stability. Can't find it in the foot. It goes to the knee, it's not going to do it there. It starts to lock down the hip muscles. It goes up the chain. Every one of my athletes that I checked with a bad arch at high loads that couldn't support it, their hips were tighter. Starts locking down the hips, mobility decreases, and then it locks down the lower back also. Because look, if we didn't run on the ground and just ran on air, we wouldn't have those back problems forming from the foot. But this is the only thing that strikes the ground. And if you know lateral sling, when I say lateral sling, it's the entire musculature of your hip that helps you stabilize. If I go to change directions, what will happen is if this thing's locked down, my body won't let me get low and change directions, so I won't change the directions as fast. That instability of the hip starts many times, I'm going to tell you 90% of the time, at the foot. Okay? And when I say that, if your lateral sling's bad, here's when your lateral sling's bad. When you squat, if you see your hip shift, let's say to the left, it means this one's not working, the opposite one's not working. And I find that it's the right foot often that has a problem that this lateral sling shut down. Okay? So if somebody's running and this lateral sling's bad, you'll see that this foot slides underneath them more. So you see those people that foot, they go like this, especially you watch a big 400, or there's 400-pound linemen now, right? Yeah. I mean, what'd you weigh, 4? No, okay. 5? Okay, good. Yeah. So, but the big linemen, they'll run like this, and those are the guys that can't stay on their blocks because they can't shift. And the lateral sling's bad, which means the arch is bad. What happens is they play higher every time because you can't, your body won't let you get in an unstable position in dynamic movements. So, again, that position for me, safety bar squat, I have an I have a YouTube channel, but I have a YouTube video about it. Hormonal responses, I do 100, I invented that lift because of I needed to go super maximal loading. 120%, I find that my athletes are willing to go 120% of their max. So if they can do that at 300 pounds, we go 360. I got huge hormonal adaptations. Testosterone, growth hormone, shoots up. Why? Because it's stressful. If you don't think those are important, okay, this is why we actually train, to get a hormonal response. Because wait, marathon runners train. They just don't get, they train a lot of volume. They just don't get the right hormonal adaptation that we want for power and speed and strength. So one of the biggest things with the super maximal loading, and this is the safest lift I've ever seen that I can do it with. I have other ones. If you don't have the safety bar squat, you can do a hex dead, single leg, where your partners help you pick it up, and then you go down slow or isometrically, okay? I have athletes, vasculars, and I spoke about it last year. They have a resting heart rate of 36, and we do no conditioning. We're talking about power and speed. Right after the isometric phase of super maximal loading, so when we go down in that safety bar split squat, knee over to toe, on our heels, we're holding our breath. The rule is you just can't pass out, okay? It's my only rule. There's a huge vascular adaptation. I've caught it with pulse wave velocity machines and other devices I have. My athletes' resting heart rate with no conditioning over a 2-week period drops 12 beats. And there's plenty of research about blood pressure now that they do the isometric stuff with maybe even a hand grip, I think. You've probably seen the advertisements. With that lift, it's systemic, it's full body, okay? So those are the adaptations. If I'll post this on my blog, and somebody will tweet about it. What is it, Twitter? Yeah. Bert, you asked me to do a video, and he said, hey, can you do a video on Instagram? I'm like, I've never done one, to be honest with you. Somebody else does it, so sorry. Something get done? I think something got done. Oh yeah, I'm here. That's great. So the point is this exercise has huge adaptations. My athletes, one important guideline, we do DEXA scans. My athletes are, a lot of times, 2 standard deviations in bone density above their normal population because we do super maximal loading. And it's safe. People come into me and say, hey, how should I progress them? You know what? I have kids walk in with no training age, very, very little training age, and let's say their max is 150. I'll do super maximal loading at 170. It's 170. Now, the kid beside him that's been in my program 4 years, a male hockey player, may be doing 600, but it's self-regulating because they're weak. It's okay. I've tried it every way. You'll be okay. I think with progressions, people get all scared and progress somebody for 7, 8 months. I'm like, spend a week, maybe 2. As long as they can do the movement, I'm in. Okay? I haven't had any accidents. I recommend safety bar, the safety squat, putting the racks up. I actually really like the straps for the safety, just so you don't cut any fingers or, those are great. You guys got those, right? Yeah. All right. So the next problem, what's kept me up at night, as I said with my 3 girls, the Olympians, I got 3 Olympic gold medalists, and I know I didn't serve them right. As I did the best I could. But that's what keeps me up at night. The question was, are the periodization models complete and optimal? And they're not. There's not one that's optimal unless it fluctuates with the athlete and how they respond, okay? The gaps, what's the problem? There's gaps and inefficiency that exist in the program. You can read my book and you can see all the modeling you want. But that model works for some kids best. If I flip that, it works for other kids best. So how can I regulate it? I've had this question for years. So years ago, I had 15 tests that I need to do on kids. 15, I'm like, but nobody wants to do them all. Not even most of my commit, and I don't want to test them, let alone do them. Okay? So create a series of tests was my thing to create, predict, and control the training process. So I basically got it down to one test that most of you here are here for power and speed. It's a 20-yard dash. Okay? What I got is you take your 20-yard dash time, and if you get a 10-yard split, put in a height and weight. In a website, I just got it turned on yesterday. It's not complete, but you can use it. It will tell you what quality your athlete needs. You can have two athletes. They both, one's a wide receiver on the left, one's a linebacker on the right. If they both run the same 20 time, okay? But their 10s are different, and their height and weight are different. This will tell you, this website, it's actually Performance Made Simple, I put coaching on the right, but my point is, you plug the results in, and you'll get five zones that you should train in. And here are the 5. It's strength and power combination. Number 3 is power. 4 is power and speed, and 5 is pure speed. So based off of 20. So you may have an athlete walk in, the ones I just showed you, the wide receiver, for 2 weeks, here's what I recommend. And it may change in 1 week. Here's his model. He trains strength. He trains power. I retest. It tells him to train speed for 2 weeks, or 1 week, or 3. I just retest when I want. And then he trains power at the end. You have the linebacker. According to his numbers, he needed to train strength, then power, he needed to train speed for 2 weeks. Then we retested him. It came up power, then strength, then back to speed. This is an individualization of your athletes so that they can progress faster. Because if I put them through my typical training model, the top guy will get better results. I had to flip it. And this is just taking a 20-yard dash with a 10 split. So if you got timing gates, that's great. If you don't, you can video it and load it into a timing system so that you can predict what you need. When somebody walks in, if I've never trained them, this is what we're going to do, and then I know what quality they get. And I've had coaches use this formula. So over an 8-week period, high school kids, 20 of them, only 3 kids did the same plan. they progress faster than they ever had because you're just identifying the rate limiter or the weaknesses and then training those and then reevaluate and train them again. So instead of doing 15 tests, I got it narrowed down to 1. Now, I got 6 more of those formulas, but I'm just giving you one today that you can use. I'll have this other 6 up done in a week or so. Okay? Here's an example. Lineman, first-year lineman in a program. He may have 3 strength cycles before he even shifts to a power. Okay? But then you have a wide receiver in your program for an 8-week model. He may never get to strength because he's strong enough. You've done your job. You've made him stronger over the years. Okay? And people say, well, what's Cal's strength? What's Cal's power? What's Cal's speed? I'll give you a quick snap. I created 13 training zones. My loading models for 13 different things, for 13 different zones. I released them last week. So if you've got to work strength, here's your loading. It's 85 to 93% on Monday, 0.45 to 0.375 bar speed velocity. If you want to train with velocity bar speeds, or if you just want to use your max. Day 2 is the 93 to 100, and day 3 is the 80 to 85. That's strength. If you want to use super maximal loading, it's 120% with the safety bar squat. If you get a power reading on the 20, it will tell you you train in zones 10 through 13 to get the most optimal results as fast as you want, as fast as you can get. If you get a power zone, which is zone 7, your bar speed or your loading zones need to be 65 to 70% day 1, drop down to 55 to 65 day 2, and you're in the power zone. Now, there's gaps in there. I'm not going to share all 13 with you, but I did post them. They're all free. And again, I'll post this talk for you, and I'll link all that. So then you know what zone this athlete has to train in. My peaking method, and this took me forever to figure out, about 10 years, but the peaking zones are really light weights. It's actually from 25% to 50%, right? Everyone wants to peak and get ready for a competition, but for years we used the weightlifting and the powerlifting peaking where they're going for strength but not speed. So when I lowered my peaking concepts to a lower load between 80 and 55, I got great results. But it took me a decade to say, do I need to go lower, which I even got better results at 50 to 25%. Okay? But again, you can look at all these zones. You can run a 20, get a 10-yard dash, and you'll find that what happens is you can just identify your athletes. What you get, just to recap, you get faster progressions to get results because you're individualizing what the athlete needs. It's truly individualization, highly efficient use of your training time. So you progress somebody as fast as they possibly can with this concept. I can make better decisions. The biggest thing is, as a coach, like I may give you all these things, but if you need to make changes, this is why you're coaching them. You have to know your athletes. This is the art of coaching, is that Cal may give me some guidelines, but I know this is right, then you go with it. I'm not telling you it's wrong. That's the art of coaching, okay? What I would do if you don't have a timing gates like me, you can just video the kid. I would actually get back. My interns did this. So you can just watch. There's all you got to do is video somebody from the side. There was cones at 0, 10, and 20. I would put sticks up, and then you can just stop your video camera, look at the time when they start, when they pass the 10, and then you got it, okay? It's great. It's really simple. The website's Performance Made Simple. Look, this is going to upset a lot of people. I think the 20-yard dash is a better indicator than standing on a force plate and jumping to tell me how to train. Oh yeah, I know. Many people said this is the end-all be-all. I'm telling you, I like the whole 20 better than me standing on a plate telling me how to train. The plate's 20 grand. My website's free, and you need a stopwatch, all right? All right, so we'll figure that out. I'll let you guys. I'll be honest with you, in return to play, this is a huge tool. What in return to play, I'm telling you, You need to get that person, if it comes up strength, so they got injured and they're coming back, and you run a test, you have to get them past the strength phase before you let them in the game, my opinion. Because the strength is what they lack the most in most cases. If you get them out of strength, I'm not saying they're ready to play. This is just one of the checks to let them back in, okay? I do work with some tactical groups periodically, and you always get, well, I don't train how I perform. I get it. So here you go. Run your 20 without your kit on or your vest, and then run your 20 with your kit on. You'll probably get a different result. So how do you train? You train with the results that with your kit, what you got. So you run that 20 with your kit, guess what? That's how you need to train. Don't train with your kit on, take it off, but train the qualities that it recommends with your kit on. Make sense? First responders, tactical athlete, that's how you, my opinion, that's what you need to do. Any questions? Yes. Long term or short term? Yep. He asked me about how do they recover using super maximal loading. And I do build a really good base, and it's a long term, not short term. So during the week, I go 4 weeks of super maximal loading with a week in between. But here's the catch. It's always an off-season program. And people ask me, do I recover in the off-season? I don't. I truly believe I pull all recovery methods in the off-season because the body's got to learn to adapt and handle the loads. So I don't recover. People say, hey, what do you do recovery? I only recover one time a week. That's the night after a game if we got a game right away. So, and I can monitor that through heart rate variability. But my athletes, so really my athletes might do more reps than yours, or yours might be able to do more than mine. It's really their foundation and base is what they can handle. So that's the art of coaching, and you just make the call. Don't be afraid to push them, especially in a 2-week period, especially with the super maximal loading. You'll see huge adaptations, hormonal responses through the roof. Okay? Yes?
So with your formula, I put in my 20-yard dash, you put on Gunner's 20-yard dash, and you see what we need for training. But if I'm a wide receiver and he's a lineman, how do you know is it just optimizing my body? Like there's different skill sets that I need for that versus what he needs, and that's why how does that figure in what kind of advances you need in those areas for the position?
So the question was, how does, if we're two different athletes, does it optimize each of our qualities that we need? Did they say that for everybody?
Yeah, it's just more like, if I need strength and power, but I'm a wide receiver and he needs other things because he's a lineman, how do we know it's optimizing for the direction of the position?
Very good question. So how is that formula optimizing for the direction of the position? I would say specifically it's not, but if you want to make them a better athlete, it's telling you what their weak limits are, and we're going to get them faster. So I'm not saying that they'll jump higher, but here's the problem. If that thing tells me he needs more top-end speed and lighter loads, it usually shows up in the vertical jump too. So what I did was I've saved all my numbers for 20 years, and I went back. I ran the formulas on the 10s and 20s, and I look at the vertical jump. Yep, tells me I need speed. His squat was low, tells me I need strength. So I'm not just giving you these blindly. These were 20 years of OCD collecting numbers, okay, that I'm giving you. So it's 20 years of coaching that you don't have to screw up for 20 years that you can have today, okay? So the 20 is, in my opinion, is a great reflection of the qualities that you need. Does that make sense? So for very specific stuff, it might not be the thing you need to do, let's say in a position or a certain movement, but you better address that somewhere else. I'm giving you a global understanding of what the athlete needs, not necessarily position specific. Does that make yes? Okay. All right. Good. Yep. I'm trying to make this clear. That's the only thing I was nervous about today is that you understood that what I think the magnitude of this could be. Okay? And again, it's for free. You can have it. So, question 2. Why are people adapting different, or 3 maybe? Why do people adapt differently? The function of the foot When they run, why do they turn in? Why do they turn their foot out? Why are the lower back muscles tightening up? And I realized we didn't have optimal foot function. So then that was the problem. I didn't have optimal foot function. So then the solution was find the best exercises I could. So I'm going to give them to you today. The 5 best that I got. Okay? Now, I actually didn't go through this process. My co-author of this book did, Chris Korfus. And it's the spring ankle exercises. It's from my Triphasic Training speed manual. You don't have to buy it. Here they are. Okay. I talked to you about the stability of the hip, blah, blah, blah. I won't go over that again. Basically, you have 10 exercises. It's really 5. The only difference is you have to squeeze your toe and make it a curl your toe like a raptor on one, and then the other one time you do it flat. So it's 5 exercises. It's 5 isometric positions with the toe and foot. It's really 3 thigh positions. It's deep squat, it's mid squat, it's high. 2 foot positions, 2 toe positions. So here's the thigh positions. I'm in a deep squat on the left. Now in that deep squat, there'll be 2 ankle positions. The other one is the mid thigh position, where it's medium depth with 2 ankle positions. The last one is a straight leg with a high ankle position. There's a lot of foot exercises out there. A lot of people do a lot of foot stuff. But here's my opinion on the flaws. People say, yeah, okay, remember, I told you 5 times body weight impact sometimes on your foot when you run. Let me ask you this. How is putting a towel on the ground while I'm sitting on a chair, squeezing my toe, bringing in the towel, going to help with a 5-time, let's say 1,500-pound impact force? It's not. It just won't. It's just not there. There's not enough stress. If you don't understand, I'll talk to you afterwards. 1,500 pounds squeezing a toe are completely different. So I'm not saying that's bad. Don't get me wrong. You need to do that in rehab and prehab to bring kids back. Yes. These 5 positions, the 2 ankle positions that vary, he's in a deep spot. You get as deep as you can with that ankle right there, and you hold it isometrically. And then you hold it high. Those are the 2 ankle positions with the 3 thigh positions. Okay? So those 2 ankle positions with these 2 on the beginning, and then the last one's always high, because you'll never be in a deep heel position with your legs straight. And this fixed many running flaws, from the way the foot leaves the ground, to upper body mechanics, arm swinging out. Why do the arms swing out? Because the foot can't stabilize, lateral sling shuts off, the body moves the arm out to stabilize. It starts at the ground. That's not always the reason they swing their arm, but it can be one of them. I'll start holding them 60 seconds in the deep with a lot of tension. And what I do is, once I get them to, I go 60 seconds, 30 seconds holding the dumbbell, and then I do 10 seconds, and that's all I ever do after that. But it's max hold. So somebody gets up behind them on their hips and are pushing violently down while they hold that position for 10 seconds. 1 set a week for those 5 positions with a straight toe, which I'll get to next, I think. Yeah, we do it with a straight toe. 5 exercises with a straight toe. The same 5 exercises has to be done with a bent toe. And what I found was my athletes couldn't bend their toes under stress. So I created just some gym flooring. I just cut up some gym flooring. Sornex, you got gym flooring around? You good? Okay, very good. I put a little dowel, just a wooden dowel, I cut in half and glued it on there. And then I had them, because they couldn't bend their toe like this, because their feet were weak, under extreme load. And after a couple weeks, they were able to. And so we pulled that thing out, but that's a tool you might have to throw in there. Okay? I can't believe the amount of problems you have if your feet are weak. Hey, look at your athletes with huge, super strong feet. What do they have? They have big old glutes every time. World-class sprinters, you work on their feet. I remember I grabbed one. I was like, what did I just grab? I thought I grabbed his thigh or his knee. It was like, that's how thick his foot was. Now, I've had people with big glutes and really small feet that were super strong. Check a ballet dancer. Like, they can control each toe like this differently. It's pretty crazy. But that's really good, okay? My point is, and I'll let you, and I'm going to show you. Here, I got the video. It won't take long. You can see him. Here's how I recommend you get into position. And I have a test for this. So I modified basically the navicular drop test. It's in the article, or it's in the manual. But if you pass the spring ankle test, you can go right to the 10 seconds. So there's how he got into the deep position 1. Here's deep position 2. You can see, again, this is for learning purposes. So he'll squat down, and he'll get deep. He'll bring his ankles up with both feet, and then he does 1, because it's hard to get there with 1. How do I implement this in my program? I basically, in between, at any time, while they're resting, I'll do these 5 exercises that week. And I'll do 10 total sets the whole week, and you're in. That's it. So he's a little higher squat position, and he's stretching that calf. Pretty simple. Next one. He'll be in a mid-thigh, position 4, and he'll get up, and then he'll hold it. And remember, we're pushing down violently. So I'm pushing as hard as even on my 130-pound females, you get their feet strong, I can put all my weight right here pushing down, and they can hold me after a while. And that's what you want. Look, you're talking about skating. I'll let the other one play. Is it important in skates? Here's what we found. If the foot can stabilize, even though it's in a hard boot, guess what happens? Your hips drop lower. Coaches thought I was doing something with their hips because they were skating lower. I fixed their foot. It let their brain say, we're in control, so now I can get lower. That's how important it is. Position 5 is the straight leg one. There, I gave them all. There's a lot more things in the manual, but if you don't want to buy it, I just gave them to you, okay? You can have it. There you go. Next one. I'm going 2 hours, right? That's good. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's it. John said, hey, again, we talk about linemen. There's knee benders, there's hip benders. The knee benders are on the field, the hip benders are on the bench. You check the athlete, their feet won't be able to stabilize. That arch will drop under extreme load. Yes, because again, as I said, if they go to move, if they're supposed to make a play right here, but my foot can't stabilize, my body sneaks me up, I can't get a wide enough split. When I run, I won't use my full length of stride. It just won't happen because you can't stabilize. Does that answer? Does that make sense? Okay. It's the only thing touching the ground, so you better make sure it works. All right? Why are our feet weak? Because we run around in shoes all day. That's it. Flip-flops are really bad. Why? Because it shuts down some of the arches, because you got to hold the toe on. Your toe comes up and doesn't function correctly to hold the shoe on when you're walking, or the shoe falls off. Make sense? Do you have a question? Yep. Don't. Yeah. Tell your athletes if you want to wear sandals, wear the ones with the heel strap so that their toe doesn't have to do that. Okay? So sandals with a heel strap. I got them. You don't believe me? You can wear socks. That doesn't matter. All right. Is that bad? Is that like a fashion faux pas? I'm not very in tune with fashion stuff. Okay, good. All right, so the next problem was look, there's all these ways to do plyometrics. This morning I just uploaded 10 videos to make plyometrics individualized. So the problem was, can I make plyometrics individualized? The problem Well, that was a question. The problem was that we just do general plyos for everybody. So then I make a test, which I just did the 20, and make plyometrics that are specific. So here you go. I call it the triphasic range plyometric method because there's 3. That's why you did triphasic thing. There's the bottom position when you start to jump. There's the mid position, and there's the top. There's 3 positions. So guess what? On your 20, if it says work speed, what do you think it's going to prescribe for the most more specific position? The top one. So for the next 2 weeks, you're going to do lighter loads, top speed, top end, the one on the right, the top plyometric, and you'll get your fastest results that you need to make the adjustments, okay? You'll adapt faster. What methods do I use? Here's all the methods. So I use a thrust method. So let's say, what do you call those, the things that hang from the top? Triphasic bars, all right, I wasn't sure, yeah. So I'll hook bands from those things. It was genius by them to come up with that. That was unbelievable. So I'll hook bands. So what I'll have my athletes do is they'll go down. They may land deep, but the bands are pulling them up. They save their energy. And remember, he did his 20 with a speed component that came out the results. He'll save his energy so that he's accelerating up, but then he really hammers it at that top position. I call it the thrust method. So you may go all the way down when you land, but when you come up, you're saving that at the top. Why? Because your foot may strike the ground at one point, and you're hammering through full extension, but you actually start to decrease your force output because you can't recruit fast twitch fibers fast enough at the end. So this is what it's doing. The specific plyometrics, and I got 10 videos on this that explain this. Look, I got 4 minutes to teach you this. There's free videos of 60 minutes of lecturing on specific plyometrics. That's just one example. The accelerated plyometrics with the triphasic bars, I do those all the time. So we'll even, if it says a power, the website's going to tell you to land in a deep position and explode up as fast as you can, unloaded. If it's strength, the same exercise will prescribe without the bands that you land deep and explode up. This will get you out of the strength phase and into the power. Theoretically, on the 20-yard analysis, you want to end in speed all the time with your athletes going into the season. That's the quality, okay, that you want to have training because speed will peak them the best. Now, I got different methods. You can read about them. We don't have time. You can watch videos if you like videos. I look a little heavy in the videos. Camera puts 20 pounds on you, they say so. I had 2 cameras on me, though. Remember that. Yeah, I kind of just covered the strength, the power, the speed, so you can see how the plyos actually fall into the methods of getting you faster. All right? So this summer, my athletes will run a 20, and for 2 weeks we'll train. We'll test again. I will have 17 zones printed off of each workout. Each workout will have 17 zones, all 17. So if they go from max strength to speed, the workout's going to be printed off. For every leg sheet, there'll be 13 sheets printed off. And then we're just going to pick it, and we're going to run with it. Okay? Last one, sport specific. Look, the question was, hey, nothing I do in the weight room is what is the speed at which it happens in sports. So what do I have to do? I have to create a method. So I created a manual, and this is brief. You'll probably have to buy this one. Sorry, it's not very expensive. Well, you can run with it too. I'll give you the example. This is how your muscles work in sports. See that? He's got a hamstring kick, and I got 2 here, just so you can see it. You might have seen this on the internet where they're kicking with bands. Notice the bands, his hamstrings are in between them. So when he kicks down and the band sends it up, the top band sends it back down. I put an EMG on it. I didn't believe it. It activated the muscle at the highest levels because of the rebound effect. It doesn't look hard. And then, you ready for this? You put a 1-pound ankle weight on those ankles. It's crazy. Okay? Here's another exercise. Look at that. That's violent. That's how the muscles work when they play sports. Not doing and I'm not saying this because I do the exercises, a 1-pound dumbbell or whatever, blah, 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 going nice and slow. That's great. I like slow stuff. I do eccentrics and isos. Okay? But this is what actually happens in sports and how fast. So every one of my athletes, they get to this magnitude of turning your muscles on and off. And what happens, it comes from the research. The best athletes in the world, what do they do better than anybody else? They shut their muscles off faster than everybody else. It wasn't how fast they turned them on. It's that they could turn them off and then repeat the effort. It was Medvedev. I didn't create that. All right? I don't want any credit for that. I talked about it with Mel Siff 17 years ago, or whenever I went to a training camp. It was like 3:30 in the morning. That's the key. Then the question was, how do I train it? That was always my concern. The method you saw with the hamstring in the bands, and the shoulder in between the bands, I call it co-contraction. It teaches high coordination at high velocities, and that's what the best athletes have. That's trainable. And that method is the fastest changes I've ever seen. You've seen them, here they are again. Now, he's doing a hamstring. So we put 3 bands on the bottom for the hamstring and 1 on the top. If I want to train the quad, put 3 bands on the top and 1 on the bottom. That's pretty simple to switch it up. This is a tensiomyograph. It's one of my devices. It's about a $20,000 device. It tells me how fast the muscles contract, relax, a lot of qualities. If you can swing it, I would recommend buying it. I think it's a really good device. Or just trust me, right? Here's what the band does. That's just my drawing. But that red line, the muscle contracted faster and it relaxed faster. That's what that co-contraction does. Now, the second method I call the rebound method of the speed. And what you have here, we did supraspinatus. This is an intern. He's not very fast. None of these are my actual athletes, okay? Supra. The difference is he leaves the band. Okay? This is a plyometric for all your little muscles. I have 80 exercises with this. What does this do? This trains the tissue. This trains your tendons, okay, which is vitally important. So the one method trains the neuromuscular system. This one trains the tendons. I have 80 exercises of that. It's the same thing here. You notice he's got ankle weights on, but he'll be doing this. Got it? Pretty simple. It's training the tendons. You lift weights all the time. What do? You pull a tendon. You do plyometrics and sprint all the time. What do the guys at the combine do that only do the sprinting and the plyos? They pull the muscles. Got it? You got to train both. It's a 2-spring system. I think I talked about that last year. Oscillatory isometrics is the third method of this high-speed stuff. And what you do here, you'll notice, I'm getting through quick, the arm stays on the band. It's so metabolic. It's so metabolic. When I say that, your fatigue resistance at high velocity goes up. So if running fast, longer period of time is good, then this is an exercise you want to throw in, okay? You can see, these are just shoulder, but I have hamstring legs. It is another variation of delts. But again, the key is that on this one, so you got the band in between. There's the one where you're maybe holding the 1-pound dumbbell and you're leaving. It's a plyometric. The next one is that you stay in it and turn your muscles on and off. It's such metabolic. It improves repeated sprintability, which is the number one reason teams win, is that they can repeat effort again and again. So if you want to put it all in 1 week, you do the arm in between the bands on a Monday. A Wednesday, you do the rebound method where you separate. And then on a Friday, you put your arm against the band or your legs or your muscle and never leave the band. And fire and relax, turn the muscles on and off. If you want to do a block of this, there's the protocol. You would do the work capacity, the oscillatory isometrics, then you do the rebound method. You always end with the co-contraction where the bands, your arms are in between the band, because it's the most sport-specific we have. I have all the videos on that on my YouTube channel. You can look that up. That's the most sport-specific stuff I've ever seen. Okay? Your best athletes will be amazing when they do it. It's the worst athletes that really get a lot better too. Because the best athletes, guess what? They're already good. They already have it. Yes? I'll do either. I won't mix those in a workout. Okay? So in the workout, I'll either do the whole workout, the oscillatory co-contraction, or the next day I'll do the rebound method. Oh, no, in my manual, I do a whole workout with that when we're peaking our athletes. That alone. Because look, so for example, I had 5 guys go to one pro team last year, and out of 60 athletes tested, they were in the top 3 in their power outputs. This is what we ended the last 2 weeks. So you're not doing it a contrast scenario where you're coming out of a squat and doing oscillatory? You can. I'm not saying you can't. I don't, but yes, it works that way. It will definitely work. But you can tell that all it does is help them transfer all this weight room stuff to the field and be optimal. You're just teaching the nervous system to fire correctly. Not correctly, but the way you're going to do it in sports. Yes? I actually really like this in season, but I do out of season for peaking. I'll take them through cycles. Now, my older vets, 30-year-old guys, 36-year-old NHLers, they're going to do this a lot. They do this a lot because it doesn't beat up their body as much. Yes? Yep, that's how I lay it out. That's an undulated model. So the high intensity on Wednesdays, the rebound's more intense. He was like, how do you lay out your intensities with that particular method? And I lay it out that way because it's an undulated model. Yes? With the sage? Oh. No, you know what I would do? Bert, what's your belt squat? What's the name of your belt squat? I would divide the J squat and do it, yes. I would do it with a pitch shark. But in the weight room, I just found that if the athletes can come up with a partner, it just rolls smoother. So that's why I did the partner stuff. Yes? Yeah, he asked me how taping the ankles and the structure and the mobility of the foot can be influenced. I'll be honest with you, I haven't dug into it, but it has to, right? So then you may have to check it. So here's what I would do. You got a kid with a bad ankle, I'd get his lateral sling on, RPR, to have him hit that, have him tape up, have him run a little bit, and then bring him back and see if it's off. And that will tell me. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, sir. Yeah, so basically I go a 2 to 3 week plan. So this last year I did some testing. 2 girls went right into super maximal. 2 girls stayed in my base phase for 3 or 4 weeks, and then they went into super maximal. So it just depends on them a little bit, but I load them up pretty quick. Within 4 weeks, everyone's the super maximal loading. And then the foot stuff, I do it with 4 or 5-year-olds, those ankle exercises, because it's that important. Yes? Do I do it with healthy? No, sorry. I think you should use that for return to play. That's exactly it. Yeah, so he asked about like somebody that's injured and would come back or unhealthy. I think this is a return to play model. You have to go through and train all that tissue and everything. But you always end with co-contraction because that's where they have to be at the end and optimized. Make sense? Yeah. So I think you just have to look at the test as a test and not specific. It's just going to be an indicator of what qualities they need to get progress better. So it's not the end-all be-all, and I'm not saying it is. It's just a great indicator of that athlete to get better. To do something very specific, you might have to test them in that particular movement. Or let the coach tell you, and then maybe believe him, maybe or not, because I'm not a big fan of coaches telling me what quality this guy needs. Yep. That's why if you look at the 10, I think if you look at the 10-yard sprint, that it's going to tell you if there's a flaw compared to this. So one, the result's based on a number of influences, but it's always going to identify the worst part of that athlete in that 10. So again, it's not the end-all be-all, especially if your athlete's a volleyball for jumping. But it will indicate them that they can move better if they keep getting a better score as you shift them through the loading. Yes? I do the movement for the whole workout that way. So you could, but I would do at the beginning the co-contraction. I would do the rebound at the end because then the qualities are going to be retained by that tissue better. And then on Friday, I would do the oscillatory in the band the whole time because it's more metabolic. I just gave it to you. There you go. What's up? Yep, exactly. I do chest on Monday. Well, I just do arms 3 days a week. I moved to that. Yeah. That's not working, though. My gut gets bigger, and the arms look smaller every time, so. I think, I'll try to answer the question. I think this is a tool at the end if they have bad patterns. I think you have to slowly re-educate them, maybe with isometrics and all the other stuff. It might work better the other way, but I think this is always the end goal. Get to that at the end, because if they can pattern right slowly, then they got to shift to this, and then pattern right. So, but I think it's something you'll have to play with, and then let me know. All right. Yes? Yeah. No, I've only seen it make them better because we play sports with our knee in front of the toes. And again, the problem is, well, he just asked about patterning. If the knee's not in front of the toes, you have a bad pattern. So, I know powerlifting coaches do a good job of teaching powerlifters, but I got a powerlifting coach says he squats 900 pounds, but I got a whole team of women that can smoke his ass in a 20 or 40-yard dash because he kind of walks like this, right? He doesn't even know how to run. He can't run. I know he can't. He runs a pro agility on a Wednesday, and I have a girl with a no hand touch run a 4.2, and she can't back squat 240, but she can run a 4.2 pro agility. So my main thing is they play the game in with the knee in front of the toe. That's how we jump. That's how we do everything. I think you have to fix the foot, let them go through the process of trying to get the pain away, but also you can add these exercises in an isolated manner. Start with the low load at 60 seconds and progress up, and you'll be shocked what happens. All right. Yes, sir. I think I just don't tell anybody. So how much resistance have I got? I just do it, right? My number one concern is the athlete's safety, but yet I just do it, and I haven't been in a weight room where there's other people or someone oversaw me. For years, I was lucky, 2 decades, my boss never knew what I was doing, right? So he asked how it's going. I'd be like, I think it's good. So I've been fortunate, never hurt anybody too bad. And I found out if they became hurt, it wasn't my fault. I didn't know why they got hurt, but they had a bad problem, and I didn't identify it. So I just don't think the norm, right? I just question myself, and I come up with these methods because I have a gift. I can everything I've learned, I can just erase my brain and just look at it within itself. So I do have that gift. People are miseducated a lot from their school or organizations, only because that's all they know. So I'm able to clear that, and I don't believe. Growing up as a young kid, my relationship with adults, I said, I don't believe you. It's not that way. That was an 8-year-old telling them. So, it didn't go well with my parents, but, as an adult, I don't have to deal with that. So it is tough. Just try it. And then if you want, just send me the method. I'll give you credit. We'll put it on YouTube, and then you tell them, hey, Cal does it. So we can figure it out. All right. Well, I'll be here. I'll probably have a few beers at 7. And then I'll be back if somebody wants to go over plyometrics and those triphasic bars. I'm going to try them out. They're pretty cool. So I'll be back here about 7:30 if you guys want to go over some key coaching points to that stuff. Hey, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.